You're watching Drake Wing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Nary here from Drake Wing Gaming, and serving me on Twitter, the Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you another Let's Play episode of Kingsguard, Leandros' Path. So anyway, y'all, let's go ahead and jump right back into it. Alarm Chan, you are up, and let's go. Alright. You looked up just in time to have a droplet of water fall onto your face. Huge stalactites hung down from above, and even larger stalagmites rose up from below. You pressed onwards, following a narrow pathway lit by torches. The pathway opened up into a much more spacious area, and the room glowed in a calming and soothing greenish blue that seemed to be emanating from a large pool of water. Small lights swaying on the surface of the water created an enchanting display. They danced like fireflies and enticed you to come closer. It certainly was a rare and fantastic sight, and you almost believed for a second the possibility of the god and goddess truly bathing there. It was easy to see why people believed this to be a sacred wonder of the world. The light seemed to soothe your mind as you came upon the water's edge and peered into its depths. You dipped your feet to test the water and found it cool to the touch, but not chilly enough to reel back. The water rose quickly up to your knees as soon as you stood. As you kept moving in, you nearly lost your balance at a dip at the bottom. Once you found your footing again, you were waist deep in the pool. You stopped in the middle of the pool and simply took everything in. The sights and sounds were so surreal and seemed to lull you to sleep. You fell on your back and stared at the ceiling as you floated on the surface. For some reason, you felt out of body and mind. Your thoughts fleeted from your head as soon as they came, and you felt numb all over. You closed your eyes, relaxed, and slowly drifted under. Hey, you feeling alright? Sorry, what was that? You can't be spacing out like this. You're king now. Gotta act the part. I wouldn't say I'm king just yet. My father is still alive, you know. True, but you are still another face of the nation. Right. So, what do you plan to do? I, didn't really catch what you said. Huh. Never mind. I'll ask you later when you're less distracted. The hall was full of people mingling about, each with glasses filled with the finest wines. Today was another day of celebration, one that would bring forth a new future for Yasan. The doors at the far end of the throne room opened, and you watched the familiar face of a fox weave through the crowds to get to you. He panted heavily and put his hands on his thighs as he gave himself a bit of a rest. Jake, I finally found you. What are you talking about? I've been here all day, you know that. Anyway, what's the problem? It's your father, Whoa. Whoa, what the fuck was that? So, how does it feel to be king? Doesn't really feel like anything has changed. Nothing at all? No overbearing feeling of responsibility or sense of immense duty to your nation? I don't like to sweat over things like that. Besides, my father is still king in name and duty. That certainly is true, but from today onwards your life will change. I'll take it as it comes and goes, then. Huh. I do hope you plan to take this a bit more seriously. The hall was full of people mingling about, each with glasses filled with the finest wines. Today was another day of celebration, one that would bring forth a new future of Yasan. The doors at the far end of the throne room opened, and you watched the familiar face of a horned beastman stomp his way through the crowds to get to you. He panted heavily and put his hands on his eyes as he gave himself a bit of a rest. Ah! Jake, I finally found you! What are you talking about? I've been here all day, you know that. Huh. Hold on. Something feels a bit kind of strange here, like Man, what a lame-ass party this is turning out to be. You're king now, right? So where's all the entertainers? I take it you haven't been to many social gatherings. This is just how things go. Gonna have to be up to me to crash this place, then. I'd rather you didn't. Leandros would probably kill you for ruining this special day. You can't honestly tell me you enjoy these kinds of things. There's lots of good wine, so it's not all that bad. Huh. The hall was full of people mingling about, each with glasses filled with the finest wines. Today was another day of celebration, one that would bring forth a new future for Yasan. The doors at the far end of the throne room opened, and you watched the familiar face of a lion part the crowd as he made his way to you. Well, speak of the devil. Look who decided to show up after all. Man, he's really booking it, too. He panted heavily and put his hands on his thighs as he gave himself a bit of a rest. Jake, I finally found you. What are you talking about? Why do I get the feeling that I've been in a similar situation like this before? It's your father, I'm sure your father has his reasons. He must have a reason. Hey, Leandros, you ever get the feeling that we've done something similar to this before? Similar? Like, I've already had a coronation. Are you speaking of deja vu? Are you sure you're feeling alright? Second, y'all, it is coffee time. Deja vu, whoever's been in this place before, hide on the street. I don't know, my head is starting to hurt. Do you need to lay down somewhere? Jake, I finally found you. It's about my father, isn't it? Yes. How did you know? You've said that before. I'm sure of it now. Why does my head it hurts so much? Thankfully, everything went smoothly. No one was hurt. We managed to even catch him in time. Catch him? You know. No, who was it? It was... Jake, he's escaped. He got out? But how? We were just about to lock him in chains when there was this... Who are you talking about? Is it the assassin? Who is it? The pain you were feeling suddenly subsided, or at least dulled. The voice that once pounded at your skull now felt like a distant echo, and your eyes adjusted ever so slightly to the smoke. You stared at your father. No longer did you feel the need to end his life so early. What the fuck? We failed, didn't we? Jake, you must never give up, even when all seems lost. We will make it through this. He didn't sound convinced in his own words. But even if his own advice didn't shake his fear, he was right. This was no time to give in. Leandros, where the hell are you? The royal guards below were doing the best they could to hold back the encroaching chaos. Both the nobles trapped below and the assailants were being pushed back from getting any closer. The lion kicked back an assassin before breaking away from the blockade to join you. Jake! Help him up, we need to get him moving. Leandros wrapped an arm underneath you and helped bring you up to your feet. Your legs were shaking, wobbly as though your bones were made of jelly, yet you managed to somehow stand on your own. The unknown voice changed tone once more. You couldn't understand the words as clearly as before, but as the assassins all halted their attacks on the nobles and turned their attention upwards toward the throne, you knew who their new targets were. They're coming! Oh my god, whoa! 100, 200, 3,000. You lost count long ago. These visions or dreams rushed through your head like the violent waves of Havana Bay. It all seemed so real. You weren't just viewing this other person's life, you were living it. But that wasn't just anybody. That was you, wasn't it? Memories mingled, matched up, and contradicted your own. It became hard to tell just which of these lives you could truly call your own. Perhaps they were all your past lives. Or was it something far more than that? It didn't stop. You were having a dream within 1,000 dreams. A tale that never ends. There was going to be a breaking point. You couldn't keep up. It was too much to take in all at once. Your mind petered on the edge of sanity. Your body was being torn limb from limb. You tried to latch onto something, anything in hopes that it would cease, but there was nothing to hold on to as a new story began. But please... 1,000 more visions flashed through your mind. Stop! Oh god, this is... Whoa! Woo! Oh! Eesh! Oh my god! You must have seen this... God, Jesus Christ, this is... Oh! You must have seen the same ones over 200 times. Woo, finally. God. Leon? Koshiro? Ramos? Anybody? From high atop the throne, you saw that everyone around you was frozen in place. Some amid laughter, another nearly tipping over their own gown. You got up from your chair and walked down the stairs to observe the scene closer. It's like, y'all, coffee time. My goodness, what the hell? Seems like our prince has a special ability. Zuardo! Their faces. They don't have any faces. Their visage was a blank slate, a pale and smooth mask. They had no eyes, no mouths, and no noses. You reached up to touch someone and they crumbled into dust on the floor, leaving only their clothes in place of their wine glass in midair. What the hell? I'm in some kind of dream, aren't I? So close. Not entirely true, yet not entirely false. What? How long have I waited but now? Finally. We are all alone. The voice came from all around. It was the voice of a male, but it sounded distorted and ragged, as if it had eaten rocks his entire life. You peered through the crowd trying to find the voice, but no one moved. Who are you? Where are you? I have waited for far too long. And here you are now. Delivered unto me. What are you talking about? Damn it! Are you the one who's doing this? All the statues crumbled at once, and a demonic laughter filled the room. Your eyes burned and your vision began to blur once more. Ah! You dropped to your knees as a heavy red liquid drained out of your eyes and onto the floor. Such is the fate of the one who can't even control his own. to see such potential wasted. The voice around you pounded at your ears. A vice-like pressure began to crush your head while thick needles began to bury deep into your mind. You wanted it to stop. Whatever words you tried to form were replaced with agonizing moans. But soon we'll meet. You knew your mind couldn't handle this much longer. What the hell do you want? I want. Your eyes shot open and you breathed in deeply. A thick and heavy substance invaded your lungs and it burned through your nose and you coughed. Bubbles escaped from your mouth. You're underwater. You quickly rose to the surface, coughing and gagging. You thrashed about as you looked for a way out of the pool. You reached the water's edge and heaved water from your stomach and lungs. Your throat was in agonizing pain. Every breath was ragged, and even the words you tried to form came out as unintelligible groans. The once soothing waters now chilled you to the core. Your head was stuffed and your ears were ringing. You felt as though you were mere inches from death's embrace. Had been so close to greet and shake his skeletal hand, but turned and fled at the last minute. The entire room spun around, slowly closing in on you while the lights on the water's surface blinked out one by one. You struggled to lift yourself out of the pool and move towards the exit, but the most you could do was crawl with your hands and arms. The exit was still so far away, but you wanted to get out of this as soon as possible, away from the creeping and strangling darkness of the water. Your muscles screamed in pain as you slowly made your way back to the door. A faint light shined through. It was already open. Like hunters cornering a wounded beast, several apostles flooded into the room and gathered around you. Perhaps you were too soon to think of escaping death's grasp. They were here to haul you back down to the underworld. You wanted to struggle, but your arms just wouldn't obey. They brought you to your feet and vigorously toweled you off. They returned your clothes, and you didn't even resist when they began to dress you. With no strength left, you were at their mercy. Your grasp of the situation was still foggy as the apostles led you out of the sanctum and up the stairs. If you never went down here again, it would be too soon. You were brought to the waiting room and laid down on a couch. Questions swarmed your mind despite your fatigue. A servant approached carrying with her a few cups, a teapot, a bowl for sugar, and a jar of honey. She set it down on a nearby table and left the room along with the apostles. The only other person in the room was the high priest, who was about to leave as well. Wait! Before you go! Your voice was still hoarse, and the words that came out of your mouth were quiet like a whisper. 1 second, y'all. It is coffee time. The high priest didn't seem to hear you. Don't go, please! You felt daggers scratching against the inside of your neck. You coughed hard and loudly, and the priest turned to look. Your hand went out. Speaking was difficult, but you could at least interact with him using body language. You wish to speak? You nodded. You owe me some answers. You have quite the tenacity even after going through such an ordeal. The high priest backed away from the door and sat in a nearby chair. I suppose I have some time. What was that? What? What did you do to me? What did you do to the water? We did nothing to the water. You've got to be joking me. That was not a normal bath. The priest reached out for the teapot and a cup and poured some tea. He added in 2 cubes of sugar and a bit of honey as well before handing the cup out to you. Drink. It will help ease your pain. I don't want any tea. I want answers. Drink. He handed the cup out closer to you and you peered inside. It's not poison. Drink. You carefully took a sip so as to not scald yourself, and the warm liquid helped relieve you of your pain. You took more sips and the soreness of your throat diminished significantly. No more did you feel the need to cough every time you breathed. Better? You nodded in between another drink of the tea. What you have witnessed was nothing short of a miracle. It is something for you to treasure as it will guide you. A miracle? We do not know the reason as to why it happened, but each person who has entered the pool has had a different experience. Something we can't explain. Something like that was nothing more than that was nothing more than a hallucination. The pool has many secrets. As such, for a sacred location where miracles occur. If calling what you experienced a hallucination gives you a bit of solace, so be it. But you can't deny what happened. After all, you were submerged for at least 2 hours. That should speak for itself. 2 hours?! A large grandfather clock was situated in the waiting room. You squinted and sure enough 2 hours really had passed. That should be impossible. No one can survive underwater for that long, except for maybe some of the beastmen down at the docks. I'm not really sure about that. Our world is filled with plenty of mysteries. Are you gonna say that was an act of the gods or something? You sound like you don't believe me. When this in fact happened to you, not me. Because I wouldn't be alive if that was the case. People can't survive without air for longer than several minutes. I would like to see you try to hold your breath for that long. Tell me, while you sit here in this grand castle, how much of the world do you know? Can books tell us everything, and do any of us truly know anything with utmost certainty? You're just rambling philosophical nonsense. Perhaps it would seem a bit difficult to believe all this. I've known about you for quite a long time, young prince. Really now? I am the High Priest, and the Church and the royal family are tied in many ways, as you should know. I was there when you were born, and have watched you grow up since you were young. Your father and Corello tell me that you are a seeker of truth, always one who loved the unknown. You were underwater for 2 hours. You saw something, a vision or hallucination, only given to you. I am telling you nothing but the truth. I gain nothing from trying to deceive you. You are free to ask me any questions, and I will try to clarify as best to my knowledge. You're sounding less and less like a priest. Alright, so let's say that I believe this whole thing, me being alive after not breathing for 2 hours. I recall waking up in the water, nearly choking to death. So what was happening to me then? And you're sure you didn't just pull me out of the water and then toss me back in after I fell asleep? As I said before, we did nothing to you. You were alone in the sanctum until you woke up. We do not know how this phenomenon happens, it simply does. For the most part, someone enters the pool, stays there for a while, and leaves with a vision. Alright, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and pause it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Leave a super thanks or tip if you can. It always helps. Until the next video, I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!